Okay, we are now live. Okay, we are now live. Okay. Okay, we are now live. Okay.
And there is a slight of echo. We may want to turn the other speaker off.
I think I was able to hear myself. Now it's better.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you are. அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். ஒரு அறிமுகத்தோட நம்ம இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை ஆரம்பிக்கலாம். என் பேர் ஆறுமுகம் பேச்சுமுத்து, கலிஃபோர்னியாவில் இருக்கிறேன். அண்ட் அடுத்து நான் இந்த அட்டெண்டிஸ் லிஸ்ட்ல இருக்கிறவங்கள வரிசையா சொல்றேன், நீங்க இன்ட்ரோடியூஸ் பண்ணுங்க. யாமினி.
Hello.
Hi, Yamini.
Vanakkam, sir. Thanks for the meeting today, sir. என் பேர் யாமினி, 20 இயர்ஸா யூஎஸ்ல இருக்கேன். இப்போ 6 இயர்ஸா மேனுவல் டெஸ்டரா ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். I just want to learn automation engineering and cloud structure. I want to know about that. So thanks, Arumugam.
Thank you. Thanks, Yamini. Next, Bhuva.
Thanks, Arun. வணக்கம், அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். என் பேர் புவனேந்திரன் ராமமூர்த்தி. என்னோட சொந்த ஊர் திருச்சி. நான் அரிசோனா மாகாணத்தில் ஃபீனிக்ஸ் நகரில் ஐடி ப்ராஜெக்ட் மேனேஜராக ஒர்க் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கேன். எனக்கு 2000 ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸில் தெரியும். அவர் கூட ஒர்க் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். நான் ப்ராஜெக்ட் மேனேஜராக இருந்தாலும் இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர், செட்டப் அண்ட் கிளவுட் மைக்ரேஷன், கிளவுட் டிரான்ஸ்ஃபர்மேஷன், இந்த மாதிரி ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ்லாம் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன்.
Thanks, Bhuva.
இந்த ட்ரைனிங் ஆர் இந்த கிளாஸஸ் எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப ஹெல்ப்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கும். தேங்க்ஸ் சார்.
Thank you. Next we have Balaji Natarajan. Keep it short. It's 8:20.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். நான் பாலாஜி நடராஜன். நான் அயோவா டெமாயின்ஸ்லேருந்து ஜாயின் பண்ணியிருக்கேன்.
தேங்க்யூ. தேவி.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். நான் மிச்சிகன்ல இருந்து ஜாயின் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். நான் ஹவுஸ் ஒய்ஃப். ஜஸ்ட் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்காக நான் ஜாயின் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். கிளவுட்னா என்ன, அந்த டீட்டெயில்லாம்.
ஓகே. தேங்க்யூ. கார்த்திக்.
எனக்கு 17 இயர்ஸ் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இருக்கு. ஸோ கிளவுட் டெக்னாலஜிஸ் பற்றி தெரிஞ்சுக்கணுன்றதுக்காக இந்த செஷன் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணுறேன்.
தேங்க்ஸ் கார்த்திக். நட் குமரேசன். நடராஜனா. And Parameshwara Naik.
I've logged in from Atlanta. I've been here since 5 years.
Okay.
So I konja Tamil theriyum, but I also forwarded this to non-Tamil friends also.
Okay.
I'm just an enthusiastic to.
Thank you. And still Nat, you have not introduced yourself. Nat Kumaresan. And Gokul.
Yeah, I just want to learn about cloud, because that's a kind of a art in the market, and I was not aware about anything around that, so it's a good experience for me to learn what is happening around the cloud.
Okay. Nice. Thanks, Gokul. We have Siva Kumar. Siva. We have Durai. quick introduction in one line.
வணக்கம், நான் துரைக்கண்ணன், டெலவர்லேருந்து பேசுகிறேன்.
சொல்லுங்க துரை. வணக்கம். Thank you. So Siva, you did not get to introduce yourself. Okay. என்னோட ஸ்க்ரீன் எல்லாருக்கும் இப்போ பார்க்க முடியுதுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ரூபன், நீங்க வர்றவங்க எல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் பாத்துக்கிறீங்களா?
சிவகுமார் சொல்றாரு அவருக்கு மைக்ல இஷ்யூ இருக்குதா. We can go forward.
Yeah, any newcomers you can make them allowed to talk and then they can mute themselves or you can mute them. Let's get started. எல்லாருக்கும் நன்றிங்க. ரொம்ப ஷார்ட் நோட்டீஸ்ல தான் இந்த ட்ரைனிங் வந்து இது வந்து ரொம்ப நாளா யோசிச்சுட்டு இருந்தாலும் இதை செயல்படுத்தினது வந்து ரொம்ப ஷார்ட் நோட்டீஸ்ல பண்ணோம். முதல்ல வந்து என்னோட பேக்ரவுண்ட் வந்து க்ளோஸ் டு 25 இயர்ஸ் நான் வந்து ஐடி இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறேன். அதில் கடைசி ஒரு 4 வருஷமா வந்து கிளவுட் இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர், அதில் அதிகமாக டேட்டா பேசஸ் டெக்னாலஜியில் வந்து ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறேன். கரண்ட்லி அமேசானில் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறேன். ஸோ I had 2 reasons to start this training. One was to share what I know and also inspire others to share what they can share. அது முதல் ரீசன். ரெண்டாவது வந்து we have a non-profit organization that I belong to. It's called American Tamil Media. We are a bunch of friends running it. It's a non-profit volunteer-run organization. And we wanted to have an academic platform built using that media so we can bring more variety of programs. Not just technology. It can be anything. It can be art, literature, or gardening, or any topic that you want to share here. It can be law. It can be active citizenship, journalism, etc. So about American Tamil Media, it is a 4 years old organization, and we do a lot of யூஸ்ஃபுல் ப்ரோக்ராம்ஸ். இப்போ மக்களுக்கு தேவையான ஒரு ஊடகமாக இதை வந்து பில்ட் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். அந்த வகையில் நிறைய சமூக பிரச்சனைகள் சார்ந்த நிகழ்ச்சிகளும், அது தவிர செய்திகள், அதிகமாக இப்போ கலை இலக்கியம், தமிழ் இசை, அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பயனுள்ள நிகழ்ச்சிகள் நிறையா பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். ஸோ உங்களுக்கு வந்து அதில் இணைந்து பணியாற்றணும் அப்படின்னு நினச்சிங்க அப்படின்னா யூ ஆர் மோர் வெல்கம். அதில் உங்களால் எவ்வளோ கான்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ண முடியுமோ பண்ணலாம். ஸோ தட்ஸ் அபவுட் த அமெரிக்கன் தமிழ் மீடியா. ஸோ ஒய் த கிளவுட் இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சர் டாபிக் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா சிம்பிள் ரீசன் வந்து தெர் இஸ் ஆல்வேஸ் ஒரு ட்ரெண்டு மாறிக்கிட்டே இருக்கும் ஐடி இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில். ஸோ இன்னைக்கு இருக்கிற ட்ரெண்ட் வந்து cloud infrastructure. We ourselves have seen so many things changing, right? Mainframe இருந்து ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கிறேனாலாம், and then we worked on cloud, client server. யாராவது பேசாம இருந்தீங்கன்னா மியூட்ல இருங்க.
And there is a question asking English வைக்கலாமாண்ட, because they might be non-Tamil speaking attendees. But I think it's better to ask that same question again. and then we can get go.
Yeah. So is there anybody who cannot understand Tamil in this meeting? Please raise your hand, or please, you can talk.
Praveen வந்து raise பண்ணியிருக்கிறார் hand. I think he won't be able to follow us on Tamil.
Oh, okay. Sure. We will continue in English then. If it is 100% Tamil population, then we can go in Tamil. Otherwise, we'll switch to English. ரூபன், நீங்க யாரெல்லாம் புதுசா அட்டெண்டிஸ் வந்திருக்காங்களோ அவங்களுக்குலாம் வந்து allowed to talk அந்த பெர்மிஷன் கொடுத்துருங்க, so they can raise their voice. Okay, so let's continue. So we have seen mainframes, we have seen client server architecture, and we have seen the internet based 3-tier architecture, and now the new trend is the cloud. And sometimes to start with அது கொஞ்சம் intimidating ஆ இருக்கும். I'm mixing Tamil again. To start with, the cloud concept will look intimidating, but it is very simple once you understand what is cloud computing. And I will keep it at a very high level because I see some new beginners, newbies to IT itself, like Devi and all. So I will try to keep it at a very high level, 30,000 feet high. And if anybody wants to go deeper, we can have maybe a separate session on any specific topic that you want to go deeper into. And thank you for all your time. And let's get into our presentation of the cloud infrastructure brought to you by American Tamil Media. And when I say presentation, let's keep it as an interactive one. I don't want this to be one way where I am talking and you are all just listening. If you have any question, please go ahead and ask the question right away. And whoever is not talking, please mute. I'm hearing some background noise. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please send an email to aru@tamilmedia.org or academy@tamilmedia.org as well. Okay, so what is cloud computing? Let's start at a very high level, right? What is cloud computing? Where is the cloud? We have been hearing this word for a long time, like almost 10 years. So the cloud is something that you don't have it in your control, I would say. When I say in your control, not in your premises, not in your house, not in your data center. So the companies run all their IT infrastructure in their data centers. Data centers are like big buildings with redundant power supply, redundant network connectivity, with thousands of computing servers and storages. So they are like highly technical and very powerful setup. And the companies are safeguarding their own data centers. And when it comes to...
there's a question, I guess. Kielaka, do you have a question? I see a hand raised.
Yeah, actually, the audio was very distracting and chopped for a few minutes. That is when I raised, but now it is good. Sorry, I put lower the hands.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so when it comes to consumer side, consumer is like we, the end users, right? Like me and you, we have computers at home. We have it for multiple purposes. We do, we have computers to learn something. we have computer to practice and or do some serious stuff. I want to learn some database technology, and I have my own computer. I'm doing some editing. I'm having my own computer. So people have computers for various purposes in their house, and the companies do their serious business commercial operations, and they have their own data center. But how does the cloud change the way we do things, right? We don't need to, we don't, excuse me, let me close the door. So companies don't have to own their own data center anymore. It is a big budget and a big operation to run a data center. And there is a limit to grow a data center, which can be eliminated or which can be avoided if the companies start using cloud. And in my case, rather than using my own desktops and laptops, buying those things every year, I can rent a desktop in a cloud environment like AWS, and I can pay for what I use. If I use 1 hour a day, I don't have to pay for the entire day. So there are flexible options available where you don't need to invest big amount of money in buying your own hardware. So it is, simple analogy is like electricity or power. When you need a light in your house, all you do is turn on the switch, correct? You don't care, or you don't really think how the electricity is produced, how the electricity is being distributed, um, all those logistics. It is immaterial for a consumer. All we want is the lights or the energy to run the things at our home. That is how you can look at the cloud. You just consume it and pay for what you have consumed. I hope it is clear. And moving on to next area, why the IT professional should pay attention to the cloud, because that is the new trend. That is a new normal. This is a report produced by Gartner Group, and they are predicting in $1 billion numbers. Okay, these numbers are in $1 billion. Forget about all the details of each row, what it means, like what is PaaS, what is SaaS, and all those things. We'll see that later. But look at the bottom line, total market. Today, today is 2020, right? $266 billion market. And it is going to be 300 in 2021 and 354 in 2022. So it's growing at a rate of almost like 15% or something. So this is a huge market, and companies are getting ready. Some companies are already into the cloud. Some companies are born in the cloud. Some native digital companies, if you take Lyft, if you take Airbnb, they're all born in the cloud. They are called DNB, digital native businesses. They are natively born in the cloud. They never had any setup in a data center or garage. You might have come across some stories that the guys at Google and Yahoo, when they started in their garage, right? But today, the story is completely different. So those days they had to run to some venture capitalist to get the funding, to buy their hardware, software, and then the people to manage all those things. But today, if you have a credit card and you just create an account in one of the cloud providers, and you can get any kind of hardware or software provision. You can have your set up and running in hours. So that's why all the companies are now, they're starting their own new business in the cloud, or if they are already not in the cloud, they are migrating towards the cloud. And looking at the big players in the cloud service providers, the cloud vendors, AWS, that is Amazon-owned company, Amazon Web Services, is the number one today. They are the strong number one, followed by Azure, which is a Microsoft company. They are strong number two. The third is Google Cloud. The fourth is Alibaba. Fifth is IBM. And there are many more companies who are following, like Dell, VMware, HP, Cisco, Oracle. But they are all having very small percentage of the market share, whereas Amazon Web Services holds the majority of the market share, and then followed by Azure and Google Cloud. So when we say it is not in my premises, it is somebody else's computer, I'm having my data, right? That's what it means when we say cloud. It is in Google, it is in Amazon's premises. So how can I be assured that the data that I have on the cloud is secure, right? What if somebody goes and looks at my company data? Or what if somebody hacks into the systems and steals my data? Or my neighbors, there may be, we are all hosting our data in the cloud, so my competitor might come and see my data. Those questions are there. So what is the security assurance we get? Is the cloud secure, first of all? That is a big question. And that question was holding a lot of companies and users to go into the cloud. People were hesitant, and companies were doing all kind of research whether the cloud is safe or secure or not. But looking at the way the cloud security is being handled, the companies keep the security, the data security of their customers as the number one priority. So if you take AWS, AWS claims that security is job zero. That is their first priority. If there are anything else they can worry about later, I mean, there are hundreds of things they can worry about later. But when it comes to the topmost priority, it is the security. They will drop any other task on hand just to address any security issues. So what do we mean by top priority is security, and how they handle it? So they have all kinds of processes in place. We may have come across so many compliance and governance standards, right? So federal government enforces some strict rules how the information security should be handled and addressed. And there are third-party and non-profit organizations who all come up with these governance policies and standards, how the data, the consumer data, should be kept secure. And in order to be compliant with all those security standards that are enforced by government and other third parties, companies like Amazon, Microsoft, they have to go through a very tight scrutiny and auditing process. And then they get those certifications from those third parties and government organizations. So if you go look at the documentation, I have not shared everything here, but if you go look at the documentation of AWS or Azure, you will find that they have a wide range of certifications for compliance and governance. But having all those compliance and governance certifications does not help your data to be secure unless you yourself secure your data. It is a shared responsibility. When you say shared responsibility, the the buildings and then the underlying operating system, the hardware level, the network, everything is actually secured by the cloud providers. But your data is um, your responsibility. Keeping your data secure is your own responsibility. Nobody else can come and they can recommend the ways to do it, but you have to put your mechanisms and processes in place to secure your data. So cloud is sometimes more secure than the data centers. So we are using a lot of software that are completely powered by the cloud infrastructure. I just wanted to give a very high level, very popular services that we use either at workplace or in our personal consumer life. So these are some of those companies who run everything in the cloud. So these companies have a dream to operate in the cloud, keeping in mind that their data center footprint is low, which means they don't pollute the environment, and their availability is high. We can talk about all those availability, the reliability, scalability things later, but these are some of those companies. For example, Dropbox was born in cloud. You might have used Dropbox sometime or other. Say, for example, Udemy is again a completely cloud-based company. Any social media, if you take Twitter, WhatsApp, or Facebook, even the Zoom that we are running today, they don't have any single data center. It is all completely in cloud. Lyft, Airbnb, those kind of new services, they're all in the cloud. Any questions?
And just a general, there was one question which I responded. They were asking whether we will focus on AWS and different like the Azure and stuff. So my answer was that they can send us the request and we'll take those forward based on the comments. So that's on that. A general question from my end is, they talk about private cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud. So how does that work, and what are the differences of that? That's one question. The other question is, you mentioned about at the beginning, you don't have to buy devices and all that, and the data center will host your data and you will get connected. So how does the maintenance of that work? I mean, is it offshore, or are we going to still have employees who are going to work remotely in managing the data center?
Good question. Thanks, Ruben. Yeah. So for the first part, yes, I request people to let us know what kind of topics you are interested in, and we can arrange other sessions for that. And coming back to Ruben, your question on the cloud, the types of cloud, right? The private cloud, the public cloud, hybrid cloud. Yeah, so let's take a very high level look at it. So the cloud providers that we saw here, these are all public cloud providers. public cloud providers, meaning they are open for business, for anybody, right? You have a grocery store, you want to run your infrastructure in so AWS. Yes, they have all the tools and the services available. You can go and you can have your account and you run your data processing over there. But when it comes to some companies who have some policies or some regulations where they want to keep the data within their premises, they don't prefer a public cloud because it is their policy. It can be anything. It can be some compliance related, right? Or it can be a regulatory for the nature of business they are doing. Some financial company where the government is enforcing them not to take the data out of their premises. Yes, then they have to run in their own private cloud. So there are some popular services and software available to run your own private cloud. For example, VMware is very popular for that. You can buy your bunch of servers and blades and then put a hypervisor stack on top of those servers, and you can chunk into small virtual machines and build your own private cloud. So that's the difference between a public cloud and a private cloud. So those private clouds are available only to run their own business. But public cloud is open to everybody. Does it mean the government agencies and any other financial companies cannot host their services in public cloud? No, they can host their data, their services in public cloud. In fact, these companies that we are talking about, Azure and AWS, they have something called government cloud, or gov cloud, which is highly secure. And not only government agencies, there are some other third party um, sensitive data management companies and financial companies who host their data in those gov cloud. Okay. And the gov cloud is not available in all the areas and regions. They are very secure, and they are built only in 2 regions in the United States itself. That's from the AWS. I'm not sure about Azure and Google Cloud. And when it comes to hybrid cloud, right, it is the combination of public cloud and private cloud. What is the combination of private cloud and public cloud, right? You have certain data which has to be inside your premises due to low latency requirements, or due to your regulatory compliance reasons. The data has to be close to your business, and the rest of the data that is for public facing, it can be in the public cloud. But you want to have some kind of interfacing between your private cloud and public cloud, and you have different ways of connecting those, your data center to the public cloud data centers, called VPN, the virtual private network, or the direct connect kind of networking mechanism. And you link your private cloud and public cloud, and that's called the hybrid cloud. Hope that clears that. And what is the third question, Ruben? There is another question in the chat. Does AWS and Azure provide private cloud services? Yes, they are bringing it to the companies, to the enterprises, but they don't call it as a private cloud, but the concept is the same. AWS has something as Outpost. Outpost means it is AWS service, but it is available in your premise. and they will bring their hardware to your data center, and it will be connected to your AWS console. You can control everything from one single console. And yes, it is available as Outpost, and Azure also, I'm sure they have something similar to that. Hope that answers your question.
Hey, this is Durai. Do everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thanks, Aru. Thanks for organizing this training. This is really a wonderful one. You're presenting very well, and the presentation is really good. I really appreciate. Probably it may be helpful for everyone on this call. If you can explain how we are going to structure it. You ask what are the topics we need to talk. That is good. At the same time, if we can tell us probably 2 to 3 minutes how we are going to structure this training, how many weeks, and that way people can, I mean, if they need additional topics, they can provide that feedback. So that what you're going to cover today and how many weeks the call is, this training is going to be, what are the things you're planning to cover in a high level? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Durai. So that's a good suggestion, great suggestion. I will come up with a list of things that I can cover, or we can find people to cover. And another humble request is, if you yourself, whoever is in this call, or you know somebody else who can give a 1-hour presentation or a series of presentation on your favorite topic, you are more than welcome. The reason is I see myself getting benefited personally. You know, when I make a commitment that I want to present something, uh, I'm able to go search for materials and organize the presentation, and I'm learning a lot of things when I'm preparing for the presentation. And then when I do the presentation, I feel that my communication and my public speaking skill is also improving. So I welcome and encourage anybody who wants to take active participation and do present on whatever topic you want. It doesn't have to be the top number one killer topic. It can be any your favorite topic, and let's share it. It's worth sharing. And regarding the structured way or the organized way of the presentation going forward, Durai, this is first attempt we are making from American Tamil Media, and I don't really know how much the interest is going to be, and what are the areas that people are going to expect us to present. So with that, right now we are kind of still open, and we are still in the fluid state. We have not put something in a very firm state. But when it comes to cloud, we can talk a lot of things, like from cloud computing, EC2, elastic cloud computing, and the storage as a service, database as a service. Inside database, we can talk for weeks together, how each database engine is different from one another, and how you can focus on one thing. And then we can also have separate sessions on how to prepare for your interviews or something, if you are trying to make a switch in your career, or you want to bootstrap your career. What are the things you want to study, focus? So since this is the beginning, I don't have a very planned, organized content. But another thing is my availability and commitment. Once I publish a set of agenda or the contents that I'm going to present, I have to make sure that I am available. So I have to look at my schedule and make sure that I am available for what I am committing. So that's the reason I did not publish it. But I think for the clarity of everybody, I will publish content for maybe next 3-4 weeks, what we can talk about. Comments are more welcome, and then we'll take it from
Thanks,
there.
sir. I have a suggestion, right? Most of the time when you go to AWS, even I started some time back, then due to time constraint, I could not go and do it. But there are, particularly when you go to console, right? When you choose, you want to build a system, there are too many options, too many things, and too many tools, what to use for what, right? So probably anybody to even start a business or they want to learn on their own, they want to get a couple of images, right? There nowadays AWS gives 1 year free, so the certain hours they are giving free, right? Even if they want to learn it, the difficulty is, I mean, using those tools, the console, right, to go what to choose, how to build it. Probably if you can start with those things, with some hands-on thing, okay, if you want to go, these are the options, and this way you can build a Unix machine or Windows machine, and then this way you can monitor it, this way you can log in, right? Those kind of, there are plenty of documentation, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I
to
agree.
stop, right? I mean, it's a
I
too much
agree.
read I have to give. I have to put time. So probably you can start something like that.
Yeah.
Then probably then you can go to database and other things.
Yes, I'll take that feedback. We will do hands-on and demos so that people can see how to do what to do, and then implement it in their free time. Yes, we will do that.
Yeah, particularly right, building the Windows machine, Unix machine, probably going the very simple web servers. There are a lot of presentations; those things are available. To start, you have to spend plenty of time before you start. It's something that scares the people, right? So those are the things, if you can do it, that would really help.
Sure. Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll do that. Got it. Yeah. Thank you. Just want to give a quick background. You read it at your leisure time. So the background or the history of cloud, the concept has been there since 1960s. I didn't even know till last night when I was preparing for this presentation. I was thinking it was there maybe since 90s, because the first email that we started using, Hotmail, was nothing but another cloud service, right? I was subscribing to that service and I was using that service, and many other things like e-commerce, like eBay, Amazon.com, and PayPal. All those things were available as a service. I don't need to install any software in my computer, but I can do a lot of things. I can get a lot of things done through those services. But looking at the some of the documentation, I'll share the link. The history goes back to 1960s, and it started with a professor, Blesson Verghese, at Queen's University, Belfast. Anybody knows where that university is, which country it is in? And any interesting facts around that university? Okay. And but now, in the past 10 years, the cloud has matured so much that our most of our day-to-day life, the software and services that we use are cloud based, and the companies, they run on the cloud. And the future of the cloud computing, we already talked about hybrid cloud, which is integrating your private cloud and public cloud. But also there is a new way of doing cloud computing, where it's called multi-cloud infrastructure. You can have part of things in Google Cloud, part of things in Azure Cloud, part of things in AWS Cloud, and those services will talk to each other, and they will behave and interact in such a way as if they are all sitting in one room in your house. Okay, so that kind of multi-cloud concept is also picking up, and people find some services being good at AWS, other services being fitting to their requirements in GCP, cloud, Google Cloud Platform, and they want to go with the best of two different worlds. They're doing it. And then Internet of Things. Internet of Things is like, you have your smart watch, your smart refrigerator, smart cars, um, all those vehicles and the things have their own device or mechanism of sending some data, sensor data to the cloud. But the cloud cannot, there can be latency when I have a sensor in my farm, agricultural farm, very, in a rural place. It is very difficult to send the data on a timely manner to the center of the cloud. So the cloud expands and it comes closer to um, the uh, the sensor or wherever the factories are, and that is called edge computing. Okay, so the cloud goes towards the edge of the regions or the geographical locations, and from there my sensors can send it to that edge, and then there will be a second hop from the edge towards into the center of the cloud where all the integrations and other things will happen. So these are all a lot of new developments happening in this area. That's going to be the future of cloud.
And there's a question, how about industry-specific compliances like PCI, DSS, or HIPAA being taken care by these cloud service providers?
Yes, the short answer is PCI, that is the payment card services, personal, what is that? PCI stands for payment card industry, I think. Yeah, payment card industry standards, and HIPAA is the healthcare related compliance. And there are many other SOX, ISO. There is a bunch of ISO compliance. All those regulatory governance requirements are met by these cloud providers. They have auditors, they have all the processes and mechanisms that certifies to that standards. Yes. And as I said, it is a shared responsibility. The vendor will certify their hardware, network, infrastructure, and everything, but your data is your responsibility. And we already saw in the other chat, what is the SaaS, what is, the cloud can be subdivided into multiple areas. SaaS, PaaS, IaaS, database as a service, and things like that. So let's quickly see some examples. We are kind of late. SaaS is software as a service. A good example can be if you are using Salesforce, right? Salesforce, you have everything. You just start using it. Or you have Google Drive or Google Docs. All those things, you go just subscribe, create your account and start using it. You don't build anything on top of that. It is all there, like Workday from the enterprise point of view. You just subscribe and you run your business, run your payroll. And then the platform as a service. Okay, I don't want something that is pre-built. I don't want ready-made thing. I want to build some application, but I want the underlying software, the system software, to be installed. For example, I want the Oracle database to be created for me, but I will put my own Oracle tables and data on top of that. Okay, so somebody is doing part of the work for you, installing Oracle software and then creating a database and then giving it to you. That is a platform. And what you are doing is you are going to create your table and then insert your data and manage your data, right? So you are doing your the top layer, and the platform is in the bottom layer. That's platform as a service. In another example, I want my Apache server to be created. I don't want to create it, but I will deploy my web applications in that, right? So that is platform as a service. Okay, there are some companies who say, hey, I want to choose what software I want to use, right? Oracle itself, I want to install it in my way. I don't want you to install it your way. But give me your infrastructure, meaning give me a machine with 8 CPUs and 100 GB drive and maybe 1 Gbps speed network, but I will take care of my own database on that infrastructure. Okay, so then um, the responsibility is that less responsibility from the cloud provider, and you have more responsibility where you install your software, then create your database, then create your tables, and then integrate it with your application and other things. So that is at a lower level. Then the database as a service is another thing. I just want some pre-built database with some data itself. I want to clone something from an existing database to a new database and things like that. So there are many terms around that which has that as a service, software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. There are many other things. Okay. So I just wanted to touch upon that.
And I just a question from my end. How is the cross-border security or cross-border information processing work? So, for example, U.S. companies are expected to keep their data, within the region. But if it is an international organization, they may have cloud sitting somewhere else. So, how does that work out?
Yeah, that's a great question. When it comes to security, and you are trusting somebody, and they have presence all over the place. Like AWS has in all the continents, including Brazil, China, India, Singapore, here in Europe. So how do you know where is your data, right? You have some obligation to your customer or to your government authorities that your data is not exported anywhere else, right? So there are controls. The cloud vendors, they divide their cloud infrastructure. Uh, the global infrastructure is divided into regions. A region is a geographical area within continent, within a country. In the United States, there are like 4 regions: East 1, East 2, West 1, West 2, and Europe also has East and West. And you get to choose where you want to host the data. And the companies will not move your data without your consent, without your permission, or without your knowledge, where you go and say, hey, I have my primary data center in California, but I want my disaster recovery data center to be in Europe. Okay, then you are making a conscious decision of configuring your own business infrastructure, right? So in that case, your data will be shared across borders. That is at your will, at your consent. Companies will not move the data without your knowledge. You choose where your data to be hosted. Great point. So what are some cloud resources that we use in our life, right? So the very simple resource is a storage resource. I don't want to, keep buying 2 terabyte hard drives, 10 terabyte hard drives, and things like that. I just go subscribe to Amazon S3 or a Google Drive, where I can dump all my documents, pictures, videos, and I don't have to worry about the backup. I don't have to worry about any disaster, natural disaster happening at my place. it is there and it is cheap. Okay, so storage is very easy and very common resource that we use today in the cloud. I mean, we can talk about storage, cloud storage, for days together, for weeks together. But at a high level, I just wanted to touch upon that. And then when it comes to compute, EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. That is from AWS, and Compute Engine is a term from Google. I want to, for example, do some data processing for quick one day. Why should I buy a very powerful computer for that? I know I'm going to need, say, 24 CPUs and maybe 2 terabytes of data, and I need a very powerful machine. But for one day, I don't need to go buy that, set it up, and then use it. And then what? Right? It is going to be a liability. So you can subscribe to the compute engine available with this vendors, use it, and after whatever 1 month period, you just terminate it. You are not going to pay a penny after you are terminating those instances. So um, when it comes to network, how is my network secure from Ruben's network? He is also running a business. How are we going to segregate the borders within the cloud, within the same region, within the same area? So you have something called virtual private cloud, VPC, virtual private network in Azure. VPC is in AWS, where you can say, hey, this is my IP address range, and I will define in my production, my non-production, my database, my application. Each will have its own private subnet within my private cloud, and nobody else has any access into my private cloud. That's not their business unless I open the permission for them to connect to my machine or vice versa. So you can restrict. It's in normal data center world. It's called firewalls and your own subnets. The same thing you can implement in cloud network. It's called software defined network, right? It's a SDN, where you can define your own rules at a very micro level. Each machine, each port number, you can say who has access and who does not have access. So that's at a very high level, 30,000 feet overview of what is cloud. What is available in the cloud? Is this cloud secure? And how the future of cloud looking like, and who are the top cloud vendors, and who are the service or software providers who run on the cloud and we consume them every day. And so that's about the introduction about the cloud infrastructure, very high level. I know for some people who already have this knowledge, it may be boring, but keeping the beginners in mind, that's a very high level overview. So yeah, go ahead with any of your questions. We have another 10 minutes for questions.
This is Dura again. I have one question. How much the cloud is secure from disgruntled employees of the organization? For example, disgruntled employees of Amazon or Google. How much the cloud is secure? Basically, try to understand what is the kind of visibility and capacity they have if they want to access someone else system or data.
Yeah, that is a very common question. It's a valid concern as well, right? When I keep my data in the cloud, it is controlled by somebody, right? There is a sysadmin there is database experts. How do I make sure they don't see my data? Um, the fact is that those employees cannot see even the colleagues' data or other customers' data. I am, say, an employee of Amazon. I can only see what I have created in my own account. I cannot go log into somebody's database because that somebody has put the security in place, saying who is invited to my database server, what is my user ID and password, and what if somebody steals my storage disk in the data center and runs with it. So there are encryption in place. Data at rest, it is your responsibility. You just click one button, say enable data at rest encryption. Your data is encrypted. Anybody steals that hard drive, they cannot even read anything. And how about the data in flight, right? In transit, when it travels over the wire in the network, you can enable that. It is all, again, very simple tools already built and available for you, and you just enable it. And it is all encrypted end to end. And as an employee or the data center um, worker, they cannot log into any machine because all the servers at the operating system level, you have the control, you have set all the security, and this process has been audited, it has been validated by third-party auditors, right? They come and um, make sure that nobody else, even internal employees or the security guys, guards, they are not able to log into any of those um, servers or databases or applications, or take the hardware and see it. There is a very stringent process that nobody can see others' data. Yeah. So how we can trust that? Yes, there are documents available that you can obtain from your cloud service providers, and you can share it with your own auditors, and that will bring the trust, or that will make you understand that the data in cloud is secure at the level the cloud provider can secure, and you have the responsibility of additional security that you have to implement.
Thank you.
All right. Any comments? Was it too much overdose, or was it too boring, too easy? Um, or any comments? Please send us an email. That's the only way we know if we are going in the right direction or we need any course correction.
Yeah, but one other thing is, and if they have registered, we can send a quick form or something to get feedback, and then that can be documented and reviewed as for planning for next sessions.
Correct. Yeah, we can send a survey or feedback kind of form. Thanks, Roman. All right. If no more questions,
I think Yamini has a question. So Yamini.
Hello, Arumugam.
Solunga Yamini.
Arumugam, since for a beginner like me, it's a good session, but lot of new terms. Do you recommend any beginner's book or websites to go through the glossary and understand few terms before next meeting? I mean, do you recommend any websites or books, tutorial sites?
Yeah, reading book can take long time for you. So I'll suggest some training available. The one training that comes to my mind is cloud practitioner training. It is called AWS Cloud Practitioner. It is available in Udemy. Udemy is an app you can install in your phone or computer. In browser you can watch it, and the courses will cost $10 to $15, and that will give you the very basic introduction. Maybe it'll run for, I think, around 10 hours session. It's all videos with pictures, examples. That will be a good start for you. And you can find more videos in YouTube or in Amazon website itself. You can find, it's not Amazon website, it is aws.amazon.com. You can find a lot of materials to read and videos to watch. And if I come across anything that's interesting for a beginner, I will send it across.
Thanks, Arumugam. Thanks. So do we have a meeting next week and Arumugam?
Yeah, next week's schedule I will publish it, and it may not be the same date, same day and time. I will publish it. It could be either Saturday or Sunday, a different time. I will share it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yamini, I just shared the Udemy link on the chat if you are interested in looking at the Udemy courses on AWS.
Yeah, and thanks, Ruben. The link that I was sharing here when I was talking about the background of cloud, I will share it here. So that university is in Ireland, right? The Queen's University, Belfast. And guess what? You know who is the chancellor of that university right now?
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I looked at it.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I just learned last night. Okay. All right. No more questions. I think we can close the session. So somebody's asking if we can share the Udemy session. Yeah. Thanks, Ruben.
Hey, Aru, is it possible, if you don't mind, is it whoever attend the training, is it possible to send the PDF version of this presentation?
Can you come again, Drake?
No, is it, first of all, the presentation is really good, because nowadays the who are making presentations are too crowded, too much thing to read. Sometimes it distracts the focus, but your presentation is very nice, few pictures, and you are talking about it. So it is really, this is how I feel the presentation should be. And thanks a lot. And also just for whoever attended it, for them to,
yeah, I will share
the look at it, if we can share the presentation, PDF version of the presentation, that would be nice.
Sure, I will share the presentation, and also we are recording, so you can go over that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, Karthik.
Sir, will you be conducting any specific sessions on Azure and AWS separately or something?
We can. What specific topics you are looking for?
Right from basics, you know, to get ourselves accustomed in either like AWS or Azure. So.
Okay, so let's think through that. That will be a big commitment, you know, covering entire AWS. AWS has like close to 200 services, right? So we have to pick and choose what are the popular services. If you look at that job market, what is required today for you to get into the cloud, right? That way, we can tackle those top ones first. But of course, we have to touch some fundamentals, you know, to learn about those specific topics. That's why we started with this introduction, fundamentals. Yeah, sure. If we can narrow down to few topics, we can focus on that.
Thank you.
Send us some suggestions that, you know, specifically, hey, I am interested in RDS Aurora in AWS. or Postgres database, or how to set up high availability, right? Or how to plan for disaster recovery and things like that, or how to automate things in cloud using cloud formation templates and other things. Those things we can do in demo and hands-on. That will be more interesting. Yeah, so it is like an ocean right now. Though it is cloud, it is like ocean. It's like sky, so there's no limit. But we can keep focused sessions in the future. My strength is database, so I will go towards the database most of the times. And if you can share any of your knowledge, please do. Thank you. And talk to you later.
Thanks, Aru.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.